Yeah.
Okay,
Ah, thanks for waiting.
so here we go. All right, second attempt. So basically what I'll try showing here is the flagship attacks from the Y-Wings perspective, and then I'll do another game and I'll do it from the X-Wings perspective. And I'll do a little bit, if I can, of cruiser attack. I'm going to use this build here, Beam Cannon Goliath, which I used on the flagship phase. And I'll try and do a little bit about the cruisers, but I don't know how long they're going to last because I changed the stats on them to make it easier. But and then after that, I'll show the MC-75 attack from the TIE bombers perspective, and then I'll try to do it from the TIE fighters perspective. But I think on that I'd be a lot worse. That's normally not what I do. But I'll give it a shot. We'll see what happens. I'll show you what the thoughts are. Oh, we're on Susuba. Oh.
It's a great man.
Okay, yeah, I mean, it is what it is.
Hey, Pixel.
Yeah.
I got 98 AI today on Susubo in a rank match.
Wow. That
yeah.
That's
98.
98.
90,
Yeah.
that's
98.
most I've ever seen.
Okay.
Okay, there's
Nice pack.
indeed.
Yeah, you couldn't resist.
No, I couldn't. Oops. Hey there, buddy. There we go. Okay. Alright, so now I'm going to go in. Oh, something's on me. Hey, where are you, buddy? Wow, they're all over me. Alright, so basically I go in, okay, so I go perpendicular. This is if I'm not doing a bombing run. And drop a, like right there, boom, Goliath. Killed 3 turrets.
Right.
And then I will look from the other side. So, okay, so I do some shots. Then I try to go to the other side. Then I do a boost, drift. And now I'm looking here. I can go in from this side, drop a Goliath right there, and then boom. And, yeah. I don't like attacking from this angle or Goliathing from this angle because I'm not going to hit anything. I try to go perpendicular, at least against those ships. The other thing that I would do is I do something like a boost in. Here, let me do the boost. So I'll boost. See, imagine this is the cruiser. I'll boost in, but then I'll do. Oh, let me get myself some boost power before I do it. Okay, so imagine that's the cruiser. I boost, and then I'm drifting, and I turn around, and I'm shooting at it again. And then I boost, and I drift away. As I'm drifting away, I can shoot at it. And then if things are starting to shoot me, I boost past it again. And then I do a turn, and I'm looking at it again, and I can shoot at it. And that's basically how I do it. Now as far as this, okay, here we go. Flagship attack phase. Normally I have a Goliath here, but I'm out of Goliaths. Let me, okay, well imagine I have a Goliath. So I go in on the side. So I'm going in, I'm a little close here, but I go in on the side. Always try and get past the power, because otherwise you're going to get tractored. And then I come in here, and I go in like this. And now I'm in. I go to 0 throttle, start my rotary, start my beam, double tap my, dumbfire my Goliath, if I had one. And then boom, it's out. And then, and then I go, then I go behind here, and I do a drift. Boost again, drift again, and now here I am set up for going behind the shield gens. I zero my throttle, start shooting again, use my beam, double tap a Goliath, and then boom, that'll be gone in a few seconds. And then another shield, and then it's gone.
Yeah.
And then I'll boost around a bit, boost around, try and see if I can get people off me. And then here's second shield gen, and it's going to be gone. Boom. And now the other shield gen's gone. And now basically everything's good to go. And now what I'll do is I will look. Okay, there's a weak spot. Okay, I shoot at it. But then there's sometimes there'll be a weak spot, and then I'll go around. So if someone's shooting at me, I go below the ship, alternate between being below the ship and above the ship like this, You just boost, drift around, drift the corner. Always boost and then drift the corner. And now I'm above the ship again. Now to go below the ship, if I'm going to go below the ship, I want to go below the ship in the back half. Because if I go below this ship near the front, I'm going to get tractored. So if I go below the ship, I want to do it behind the, not in front of, but behind where the hangar is. I don't want to be doing it near the front of the ship. Now let me show you about something. I see some weak spots, and it's like, oh, there's a weak spot. In the normal case, you'd want to like turn around or whatever. No, actually what I want to do is I want to boost away, then drift, and then as I'm drifting, I turn, and then boom, I've got a really good angle to shoot at it. I'm not like flat with the surface here, because if I'm flat with the surface and I'm trying to shoot, I'm going to miss it. I'm going to have a bad angle. So what I try to do is I boost, I drift, I see a weak spot. You see that weak spot? So actually what I do is I boost away and then drift, and then boom, when I come back, it's completely perpendicular to me, and I can just angle in at it, boom. And now here I'm close to the ship again. Up, there's a weak spot. Boost out, drift, and then it's going to be perpendicular to me again, and then I can shoot it. And I have the angle to shoot it. And then see, this is why you don't go in the front. See, I'm in front of the hangar bay. That's why you never want to be in front of the hangar bay. Yeah, it'll be fine. So I tried to, and then I boost up so that I'm above the ship and I'm safe from tractors again. So again, if there's a target I want to shoot on the Star Destroyer, I boost away, drift, look at it, and now I've got a perpendicular view, and I can take out that turret. Boom. And then I want to kill some of that stuff that's on the side. I boost, I drift, and now I've got a perpendicular view at it. Now this is what I would do in a Y-Wing. I wouldn't do this in an X-Wing. I would do this in a Y-Wing. Getting that perpendicular shot on things. Like, they're there. See, people are going to be like, oh, I want to shoot that weak spot. I see it. No, don't do that. Boost out, and then turn, and now you have a perpendicular view on it, and now you're going to actually hit it. Anyway, that's what I do on the Y-Wing. On the X-Wing, I would skim more. I would do more skimming. But in the Y-Wing, it just doesn't work. You end up just bouncing into crap. Because, like, if I'm over here and I'm, like, trying to shoot something that's over there, what's going to happen? I'm going to bounce, and then I'm going to be screwed. Or I'm going to hit into a turret or something, and then I'm going to be spun around. It's not good. You want to actually keep your distance. But also, while you're doing that, if you're getting shot, always, you go around, you go under the ship, you go over the ship. So I boost across the ship. See, I'm boosting across. And then when I'm done getting there and I'm about to turn, drift. Drift around, and now here I am on top. And I boost across, drift, and now I've got a good shot at these turrets. These over here, these are good turrets to shoot. There's like a ton of turrets you can shoot here. It gets you a lot of points. But anyway, that's... I'll just finish this and I'll show you in the X-Wing my attack angles. Alright, let's see if I can find something to shoot at. Ah, no! It's at 1 health. Oh, I got the hull. I got the hull. Alright. So, okay, let's just... There we go. Boom. Gone. Yeah. I do want to make one slight variation to something I said in the very first tutorial, which is don't shoot at just the hull. I would agree that you shouldn't just shoot at just the hull if you have other options and they're easy to do. But especially if you have burst lasers or plasburst, just shooting the hull, even not the turrets or not a weak spot, is fine. I wouldn't do it like in equal measure with other things, but if you have nothing else to shoot and you don't have any like angle that you can get at things, then shooting a few plasbursts or a few burst laser shots at just the hull is fine. And it does actually a fair bit of damage. And if you shoot enough of it, you'll notice that it does destroy a hull section. So that's good. But yeah, so just a slight variation to what I had said in the very first video, which is mostly I think what happens is newer players will go in and they'll just start shooting, spraying, and praying at the flagship, and that's just not a good idea. But if you do have burst lasers or plasburst, a few shots, especially if the hull's already pretty low, at the flagship could finish the job. It adds up, but you do wanna look for the weak spots. Okay, so I'm gonna try it in the X-Wing and let's see what happens.
One thing, Pixel, you didn't come out really of powering engines. You kept your power in engines pretty much the whole time.
Yes.
It was just powering engines.
I do that even more in Imperial than I do on the Republic. But yes, I try to stay powering engines as much as is possible, and that's another reason why I said I try to charge my lasers before I go in, because I know that I'm not going to want to put power to weapons almost ever, and I certainly not to shields because they do nothing unless you're shield skipping, which I don't do. But yeah, so powered at engines at all times, so that way I can keep my boost, because you'll notice I boost around, I'm boosting here, I'm boosting around, boost drifting around, and that keeps me alive, and it keeps me finding new targets that I can shoot at on the flagship. So yeah, powered engines at all times, especially on the bomber, but even on the Y-Wing.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, no, very good. I'm impressed, to say the least.
So what's your recommendation for shields on a Y-Wing? I noticed you're running ray shields. I typically run the overcharged ones.
So I used to run overloaded. I think they're called overcharged. I don't run those anymore, because what ends up happening, I find, is if I'm really good about shield balancing, I end up running shields out. Like, I lose my shields. Or if I get ionized, if I got ion dunked, I lose my shields. And then with those shields, they won't ever recharge, right? Yeah. And I find that I had that situation a lot more often than I think I was getting killed because the shields were running out. So I ended up switching to ray shields on the Y-Wing, because I found that no one's really going to kill me with secondaries with the Y-Wing very often. They're going to kill me with primary weapons. So like, even if they ion dunk me, they're probably going to kill me with primary weapons. Well, I guess it doesn't matter at that point. But yeah, the ray shields I think are pretty much 100% always for me on the Y-Wing. On the X-Wing, I could see a number of different options, but depending on how you're building the X-Wing. But for the Y-Wing, ray shields, I think you'll find that the majority of times you die in a Y-Wing, you were getting primary fired. You weren't getting auxed.
I've switched to ray shields as well.
And the big benefit, as I said, is if you get ion dunked, you can still regen your shields. If you lose your shields, you can still get your shields back. Like that, it's not the end. Basically, I found a lot of times I had to go back to hangar because I was like, oh, my shields are out. Okay, well, I might as well go back to hangar, because a Y-Wing that never can regen its shields is like a TIE Defender. It's like it's really easy to kill, you know. I mean, it's not like a TIE Defender that easy to kill, but in the sense of the whole tankiness of the Y-Wing, which is what saves you because you're not maneuverable, is the shields. And if you got no shields, then you're pretty dead. But yeah. So.
Or I got cocky and was like, one attack will work. Nope, one shot.
Oops. I really need to learn how to aim with these things. Sorry, guys. I don't.
I bet you would have loved the Goliath just then.
Yeah, I was like, I should have just picked the Goliath for the opening at least, or something.
Yeah.
Alright, there we go. Okay, now I got attack. Alright, so now let's see what I can do with attacks on the cruisers. Okay, so with the cruisers, it's much the same thing on the X-Wing. I mean, again, I'm speaking from a little less experience here because I do fly Y-Wing. But, so you'll notice how much damage this thing can do. So you want to get rid of those turrets as soon as possible. Even more so here with this X-Wing, I can drift it. So I'll be shooting, and then, oh, people are starting to shoot at me. Okay, I boost past it. I turn around. I look at it. I could put a little more few shots at it. I boost past it. I drift. I turn and I look back up, and then boom, there we go. And actually, I could have alternated by going CD, CD because of the way that's set up here in Fostar, but yeah. And then I could dumbfire a conch and finish it if I want to. The conchs really don't do that much damage. I actually would say the majority of damage that one's going to do on a cruiser in an X-Wing is going to be from your burst lasers. And your conchs are really not going to do that much damage. Basically, 2 burst shots are equivalent to 1 conch, so it's...
What about dripping with the X-Wing?
So with dripping, I didn't really have the chance to say it, but I would have dumbfired some ion missiles. I do have some ion missiles. What I do is I'd run in there and I'd just dumbfire at nearly the last second, I would dumbfire some ion missiles on it. But I didn't need to because I had them at low health. But if this was a regular match, yeah, I totally would go in there and dumbfire some ion missiles. And it doesn't matter which angle you do it from, just make sure that you have it at an angle you can hit at. But other than that, you're fine.
Speaking of dumbfiring ions, I saw somebody testing concussion and ions, and sometimes when you're more likely to hit when it's locked than when you dumbfire. That was funny to see, because he dumbfired it at I don't know, under lock on range, and that thing still didn't hit. So it seems to die early sometimes, most of the time.
So with that, what I just did there was I went in from below, and I'm attacking the one that's further, not the closer one. I always attack the further one, gives me a little bit more time, and then I will dumbfire both missiles, so an ion missile and a conch. I actually accidentally dumbfired my conch first, but I would prefer to dumbfire my ion first, because I find that sometimes the shield gens take more damage when they're already ionized. So I'll dumbfire this ion missile, and then I'll dumbfire the conch, and then boom, it's good to go. I don't even bother with lock on there. Just make sure you have it at the right angle and you're fine. And then there's another thing that people will do, which is that orbiting. So now I can take a few shots here, and then okay, let me avoid that. So then I'm going to come back in, and I'm going to drift, and then I take a few shots, bounce out a little bit because I'm not doing it right, and then I drift around, and I just, sort of drift around here, basically, and I'm just staying around this angle, and then when I find a good angle, I'll be like, okay, I'll chance a few shots in there, and then I'll not mess that up, but yeah. And then hopefully, and then I can sort of zero sometimes. Like I can go to 0 if I want to behind the ship. I would never want to go to 0 throttle in front, but if I'm like back here, I can zero my throttle a little and give myself a few extra shots. Let me target the right thing here. Okay, so let me target this one and say I'm attacking this one. So I'll come around. I'm staying alive, and now here I am, and now boom, 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 and then I boost away, drift, just keep it moving, and then I come in. Actually, I should probably attack the opposite side. It's always easier to do that. And then I drift, I come in, and then I make another run, and hopefully people are having a hard time killing me because I'm drifting around, and then I boost, and I drift around, and I'll just keep doing this and taking little pot shots at it until basically both shield gens go down, and this will I mean, it won't take the whole thing out, but I'll tell you, it's certainly going to take a little bit of both, and it'll help your team.
Yeah.
If 2 or 3 people do this, then that adds up. But basically what I'm doing is I'm being exceedingly hard to kill, because I'll tell you, the defenders have a lot of trouble killing people when they're around the bridge here, because I'm constantly using this area for my defense. Right now I don't want to go out here, because if I go out here, the turbo lasers will tear me up a lot faster. So I want to stay as much as possible behind the ship and not in front of the ship. And not only that, if I'm behind the ship here, then it gives the other attackers, my teammates, more ability to make those Vandersloop runs, the runs from here, because that means all the defenders are now behind the ship to try and deal with me, which means that my friends who are in front of the ship could do something like this and be able to attack from the front, and all the defenders are now behind the ship. So that it sort of splits up the defense from having to attack in front of the ship and attack behind the ship. And if I boost around here and I'm really evasive, these shield gens and the bridge will block a lot of the attacks, and no one will be able to get a lock on because you'll be too dang close to everyone. So yeah, and then I go in, do a double. There we go. And then I come around. Now it's easy because the shields are down, so I could just finish this off right now. And then boom, okay, that's down. And now I'm going to go below. And now I'm below. And now I'm going to take some shots at power. Up, they're starting to shoot at me. Okay, dodge around. And then obviously always power to engines this whole time. I mean, yeah, always power to engines this whole time. Unless you're running out of lasers. and then I come back around, and then boom, a few more shots on the power. I don't even have to sit here. I don't have to sit here. That's going to get me killed, especially in an X-Wing. I don't want to be sitting around when I'm in an X-Wing. In the Y-Wing, I could do that thing where I just sort of sit there and then, you know, pummel it. In the X-Wing, I just want to fly around and take a few pot shots here and there. And, you know, I mean, basically my teammates are going to be over here as well. So if I take a few shots, get this down to 40 or 30 or whatever, then my other teammates will finish it. It's a start. And if someone's on me, all the better, because that means that if I'm just taking a few shots, not only am I doing damage, I'm distracting the defenders. They're having to allocate resources to try and deal with me, and I'm not being easy to kill, so they're wasting a lot of time trying to kill me while I'm also helping my team take out that power. So I'll just constantly do this. I mean, maybe I'd vary like this rotation a little bit more and like double back a little or something, but then boom, and I take a few shots. Then we're at 5, and now one more. And this is just me. I mean, this thing's at full thing. I mean, basically, an X-Wing is not expected to take all of power necessarily, but I've basically given my my teammates an opportunity to either do something unimpeded or whatever. Now, basically, now that all things are out, I'm going to try taking shots at things. So I'll look for weak spots. I'm going to actually stick closer to the hull. I'm not going to do the thing I did with the Y-Wing. If I'm in an X-Wing, I'm going to stay closer to the hull. And I'm just going to take shots at things. And just a few burst shots here, a few burst shots there. Like, all those burst shots actually do a fair bit of damage. I see some weak spots, so I should focus those down if possible. Keep in mind that I cannot use my my Auxes to do that. I need to do that with either beam cannon or burst lasers. Can't be done with missiles. Really doesn't work. And then I rotate around. I just take a few shots, and then boom, it's down. Anyway, that's sort of how I do it. If there are any questions, go right ahead. I'm just trying to give you a visual essence of how I fly it.
On your initial run, then,
Yep.
so your first run on the shield generators,
Yeah.
you came from below,
Yeah.
and went up.
Yes.
Some of the videos I've watched, particularly Fenkar, he says you do not want to go below because that's where you'll get
Tracted.
attracted.
Yes, if you go too low and you're too close, then you will. But if you don't go more than like maybe say 5 degrees below, and you're basically near the sides, then I think you're fine. But you didn't see me get tracted there. It's true that if you come from way below, but if you come from below, and I think there's a certain angle that like the MC75, there is a certain angle that you're coming close to that gets you in trouble. But one of the things I like about coming from below is that if you're below, your defender, the people that are defending, are either the people from below are going to come at you, in which case they're going to have trouble because now you're going above, or the people that were above are going to think, oh, I need to go down below, and then you're going up, and now they have to turn around, and not only that, they're on the wrong side of their ship. So I kind of like that. Not only that, I think that angle gives me a longer run at the shield gens than front. And not only that, I think it's basically that run minimizes the amount of turbo laser passive damage that I take. Whereas if I went from a more frontal position, the amount of turbo laser damage I take is considerable. That's just me, though. I mean, other people might think otherwise.
No. Because I was just wondering, because before you said about making sure when you come in, you're behind the hangar. Sort of that point behind the hangar.
Right.
So you're coming in.
Can I explain something about the angle?
Yep. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's an angle. Obviously, if you're below and come from like a more frontal approach to this area, you are going to get tracked. When you don't want to get tracked, you have to get a more wide approach. You go wide on the surface area and approach from the side.
Exactly.
When you approach from the side and the back side, you can actually get below and not get tracked. But if you approach from the front, well, you will get tracked. And this is something that has happened to me many times. I've been in my Y-Wing, and just because I wanted to do something fast, I messed up everything because I got tracked because I had a frontal approach.
Right. Sorry, that's actually a key component. What I think what Jonathan And what I was doing that Jonathan's mentioning is that when I come into my approach, I'm coming from wide and then going in narrow instead of being more narrow and then going from there. So when I came into that run, I was coming in from the side and then adjusting to turn and then be a little more frontal, as opposed to being frontal the whole way. Because yes, I think if I had stuck in that angle from further out, and I'd been on that approach from further out, I would have been tractored. But because I came into that approach from the sides and then turned into it, it was just at the right time. As I guess maybe subconsciously I've sort of realized, it's just at the right time to not get tractored, because by then you are at the angle that the tractor beam can no longer see you, and you're fine.
Cool.
But in general, the up and down thing, yes, it's behind the hangar is really where you want to be, and being below the ship in front of the hangar is dangerous. Except that edge right there, that notch that I came in on, is basically the end point. You have to come in at it from the sides.
Yeah. Cool.
So I usually fly for stripping ion torpedo, and then for capture damage a piercing torpedo or proton torpedo. So what I do is I use the ion torpedo for radar or like the cruisers, and then once they're stripped, I use my proton torpedo on them. For the Star Destroyer, I usually use like also the burst lasers, or what's named, that you used. And as soon as shield and power is done, I go for weak spots. The thing is, because when you play like in a real match, you have like different phases, and then on defense, I quickly have to get the radar down, so I fly torpedoes.
Right. I think it depends. There are different. They're basically two different flex roles to play, or two different variants of the flex, and one is to go torps, and the other is missiles. I showed missiles because I think a lot of people end up going missiles in tough matches, because the missiles are more versatile. They can help a lot more with the PK as well as with the capital ships. And not only that, but you don't have to worry about getting your lineup or them getting shot down nearly as easily, because I can always dumbfire them near the end, and it's really hard to shoot something that's been dumbfired very near the end done. And you get a lot more of them. So I think the versatility of the missiles, though they do less damage, is preferred by me. But the torpedo builds are totally viable, but it would be a different approach. The other thing is that if you have the Star Destroyer marked, it is exactly one ion missile, all that is required per shield gen to disable the shields. So
let me add something about the missiles.
Yeah.
I've not discovered, because this is something that's been studied by other teams, but I find myself improving my Star Destroyer rounds in different ways. And that's the good thing about the X-Wing, is that there are many ways to do things. The torpedoes are not bad, but in a high-tier game, the proton torpedo it's annoying, because you have to actually get such a long lock-on, and people can kill you in that moment. But you know what is good? The piercing torpedo is actually great, because the lock-on on the piercing torpedo is fast, really, really fast. So many players, full capital ship damage players, run concussion missiles and piercing torpedoes. Because you can actually shoot a piercing torpedo outside the shield and then go near in your own with the concussion missile, and you can maybe shoot two piercing torpedoes depending on the cooldown. And now that's one way. That's a damaged way. The other way depends on what you have in your team. If you have a support, I would advise to ionize the shields, because as Pixel said, it requires only one ion missile. Now, let's say you have no support, and let's say you have this common flex field, basic flex field, which is concussion missiles and ion missiles. You can approach the shield, shoot a concussion missile, and then you stay evasive. You can go under the Star Destroyer, and you can shoot a ion missile to the power system. Then you come back up, keep shooting the shields, and when you see your ion missile is about to be available, go down again and get it into the power system, because even without a support, the power system only takes 2 ion missiles. So you will be able to take the power system while attacking the shield generator.
So 2 ion missiles or one ion torp could take the.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Obviously, the torp is more difficult because you have to align for to be able to shoot that. But since you are going to be flying around the Star Destroyer while attacking the shield generator, you might as well do it.
Yeah, you could dumbfire
With
some
the ion
ion
missiles.
missiles while you're at it. Yeah.
Exactly. And it's actually really effective. Right now, like how I've seen other teams play is that they don't go for pure damage on the power system. They shoot one ion missile, they call it, there's ion missile on the power system, and everyone knows that it's ready to be down.
Right.
Basically.
Yeah. Disables.
No,
Really?
you destroy it
This
because
is
if
for
you
this is for
disable the
power.
power
This is
system,
for
you
power.
destroy
This isn't for shields. So 1 ion missile, if
sorry,
marked, will
sorry.
disable
Yeah.
shields. But on power,
Yeah.
basically 1 ion missile and then one more, and you're good to go.
Oh,
Yeah,
right.
I made a
So
comment
one-
just because you can do both.
Yeah. Right.
when
Sorry.
you-
Yeah. So
when-
it depends. I mean, so what I was showing was if you're going for the damage on the power, which is to burst laser it
Yeah.
down. But yeah, as Jonathan was saying, you could ion it down. Unlike the shields, which you can't ion down. The power you can double ion, either a double ion missile or a single ion torp on it.
Right. Okay.
Cool. But I was showing you basically as much as one could do with the X-Wing if you were using your burst lasers and you were just running around and wanted to take a few shots. But that's another good thing about the missile, as Jonathan was saying, is that if I had an ion torp and I was trying to orbit the ship, I'm not going to get a distance that I can use that torp. But if I have ion missiles on me, then I can easily dumbfire them as I'm running around and cause havoc.
Yeah. Do you think
you have to be careful? Sorry, you have to be careful because the latency on the game, sometimes you will dumbfire something and will go to another different place. You have to be careful how to shoot it.
Right.
Um,
Especially your momentum. You have to be careful when you dumbfire a missile. You have to understand that your momentum is going to be added to that missile. So if you're drifting across and you're shooting a missile or a Goliath or whatever it is, it's going to take on that drift that you have. So you need to be careful about that when you shoot. But yeah.
Well, what I was going to say is, do you think, say, take for me, for instance, myself, is that when I go on, say, an attack run on a Star Destroyer, I'm so eager to do as much damage as possible in one run that it's almost like always a suicide mission, if you see what I mean. Whereas when you was in the X-Wing, you take your time. It's just being evasive, few shots here, few shots there, back around, few shots again.
Yes.
With the Y-Wing, I just find, like you said, you can just hang there and give it everything you've got. But really, that's a suicide. For me, it always ends up a suicide mission.
It can be a little less than a suicide mission under the right circumstances, and I guess that's part of the key of doing it right. Is that yes, the way I'm doing that with the Y-Wing, the way you do it with the Y-Wing usually is a little bit more of a one and done. But if you do it right, meaning you time yourself with your teammates, you come in at the right angle, you don't get yourself tractored, you come in and you make sure that you're not at an angle you're going to get a lot of turbo laser shots at you, and you power up your shields beforehand and you balance your shields during, then you actually, I think, usually can at least take one subsystem out. And if you do it right and you play your cards right or things are working out, then you can go in, like I said, back in the behind of those 2 shield gens, which is where less turbo lasers can get at you. You can park there. It's not easy for players to get at you. It's not easy for turbo lasers to get at you, and you have a chance. But yes, there's a difference with the X-Wing, where the X-Wing, you never want to be parking, basically. Almost never you want to be parking, unless you're taking a few last shots. You really need a few last shots on something, and even then, you need to understand what it's for. It needs to be like, these are the last shots I need, and I'm going to get them if I park. That's the other thing, is like, I only need a few last shots, let me park. that only works if you can get those last shots if you park. So you need to understand, by parking, you're putting yourself in a deadly situation, because when you park, the turbo lasers will all come at you. And the X-Wing will survive a lot less time than the Y-Wing will. And not only that, if a player sees you, then obviously. But yeah, that's... In the X-Wing, it's a lot more pokey, and the idea is that those X-Wings are going to be targeted down by defensive fighters, defensive players, and if they can dodge around and draw some fire and just mostly stay alive, get a few shots here, a few shots there, while the enemy team's wasting their time trying to kill them, then they're doing all that they should be doing.
Let me add, the thing about the Y-Wing, it's not impossible to do the same that you do in the X-Wing, the Y-Wing. You can actually do it. Obviously, it's a bit more difficult because most people run the rotary cannon, and the rotary cannon doesn't allow you to be that maneuverable. But if you actually make up your time, and let's say you have normal lasers, you can actually do the same. The Y-Wing can be very, very, very in the right hands, but it is more difficult.
Yeah.
What would be nice as Pixel? What would be nice as well is any other sort of attack runs that you can do, or is it just they're like the ones that you've got to do, or are there other different angles that you can come in? Or
you mean on the Star Destroyer?
Yeah,
yeah.
So sometimes I've seen people come in from the back end. They'll come in from behind and go up under the shields that way.
Oh, you could, yes.
Rather than come.
The issue is that's usually not a opening. That's like a follow-up move. That if instead of switching to orbiting, so basically what I did there was I went in from the sides, did a little more frontal side, because there's like actually another notch that you can do that's a little more side and a little less frontal than I did to go at the shield gens. But after you do that, you then have an option. You have two options at that point if you're still alive. One is that you go set up for a back attack run, which is to go boost down and then turn and then do a drift down and turn and then look up at the shield gens and then go from there. Or you can just say, okay, I'm going to start orbiting now. I think the worst one would be to try and set yourself up for another frontal angled run. I think that's probably the worst of if there were three options, I think that would be the worst. But basically, usually the way I see it, especially for top level players, is that after they do that one run, they're going to then set up for orbiting like I was doing. And mind you, I'm not the best orbiter because I almost never fly X-Wing, but that's what they'll set up for because it's the hardest. They become a beautiful target to people, and it's like how would you say it? It's a poison pill. I don't know what the name is for it, but basically it's like, hey, come shoot at me, I'm orbiting around your shield gens. But the thing is if they do it right, they're not very killable, and they're just poking and poking and poking, and time elapses, and before you know it, before you know it, they've got you have both your shield gens out, or at least down to like 40 or 30 or something like that. So yeah, the back run, and I could show you the back run if you want it, but I think that's yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've watched so many videos. I mean, you got the bow. What is it? Venkar calls it the bow tie, where you. It's like the slip, but you come in a shape and go round the shape of a bow tie from one side to the other, back on that one. Back on the other.
Let me tell you why I only prefer one run. Because reasonably, I find that after one run, I'm probably someone is on me, and it's harder to say, okay, someone's on me. Let me set myself up for a run, because a run is like very, how would I say it, unflexible. It has to be done a very certain way, and you have to line yourself up correctly. And to do that while you're under fire is either you've made yourself too killable because you're too set on lining yourself up, or because you're evading, you fricked up your lineup pattern because you're too busy trying to dodge. So after that initial lineup, I would prefer something that was a lot more flexible, like orbiting, because it gives you the ability to naturally do some damage while you're dodging, because you're probably by then attracted someone's attention.
Yeah, no, totally. Yep. Cool.
One thing I want to add, something important, and many people, it's hard to learn this. Basically, obviously, in this game, you want to boost gas like 100% of the time. But in these runs, in these orbiting runs, there are actually moments when you don't want to boost gas. There's a basic technique of orbiting, which it's very basic. Um, which is basically you move while having your powers on shields or weapons, mostly weapons because you want charging weapons. So you move having your powers on weapons so you can charge them. Then you when you start shooting something, you change uh, to engines. You can charge your engines while shooting, and you can run away after that.
Wait, what are we talking about? What
Um,
phase? Orbiting a
no,
flagship?
like, anything can be orbiting anything. You can do that.
Hmm.
Is power management. And it's good to know when to do that and when to boost gas. You know.
I usually would
Um,
advocate it first, and this is what I do, Jonathan. I was showing them is I actually keep powered engines at almost all times. And yes, it ruins a fair bit of my drift, and it makes my drift a little shorter. But I find that actually the amount of boost energy that I need, especially in the Y-wing X-wing, is just so high that if I start shunting, if I start putting power to my other systems, unless I'm on top of power management, which is really hard to do because that's another thing that I'm being asked to manage now, in addition to aiming and dodging and understanding what the situation is and all that.
and I
That
no, I understand.
it's too many things to juggle, and I find that the value of that, at least for me, is not yet enough. That I've do that. I stay powered engines almost the whole time unless I need some
No,
laser power.
having your power and engines actually a good like it's the easiest way and it's not bad because obviously the first thing you want to do is not that. And if you feel not if you don't feel comfortable doing these changes on power system, obviously having your power and engines would be a priority. Now, what I was, if you want, let's go to thank you so much.
Sorry, 1 second, Jonathan. If everyone could just join this match again for spectation, I'm gonna do the after Jonathan's done with this point. I'm gonna do the New Republic attack. I mean the Empire attack on MC-75.
Oh,
Yeah, I can be the
let's
expert,
put
so
it out.
I can explain fun.
Yeah,
It's
just
so
go ahead
easy.
and spectate, and we're good to go. No, yeah, but it's okay. Everyone's
Suppose.
spectating, Jonathan. Okay, cool.
Huh? What? Where? What?
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. What were you saying about the power management, Jonathan? I
So
started up a new
basically,
match. Yeah.
yeah, I'm already here.
Okay.
So basically, as I said, the word management is important because the better you actually get it, the more damage you can do. Well, and you want that. Obviously, it's something else we have to be thinking of, and it's not easy. It's something that needs practice and becomes second nature, as everything in this game. Um, but it actually allows you to do a lot more damage, and even more when you have burst lasers, which are really fast. You know, since they charge really fast, is it just a couple of boost and drift is enough to charge them enough to have an overcharge and shoot a couple of overcharge lasers to the cruiser or the Star Destroyer or anything. So I say this because sometimes skipping with power and something else is actually really great. You don't have to think in many things as you have to think when boost gasping.
I would agree
And
that
actually,
boost and then switching power to weapons is more viable for the X-wing than it was for the Y-wing when I was doing
oh
it
yeah, for
there.
sure. No,
Yeah,
for
yeah.
sure.
So for
That's
the
true. That's
X-wing,
true.
yes, I wasn't doing it because normally I don't play X-wing, but I totally agree that it's within grasp. I think for most people and quite valuable, worth the effort to if you have the burst lasers and you're trying to use the burst lasers to do a lot of the flagship damage, that it's worth it to as you're drifting. Right before you drift, to switch your power to weapons, get a few bits, and then you can switch back to engines, so that you can slowly try and recover
No, no,
your
no, no,
burst
no.
power.
You misunderstood. You
No.
misunderstood. You move while having. I mean, you want shoot while having your power on lasers because you want to put and you will boost it better having the power on another thing.
Yeah,
If you
weapons. Yeah.
boost it moving, and then when you attack, when you shoot the lasers, you change to engine.
No,
So while you're
that's
shooting,
what I was saying. I was saying that when you're drifting, right before you drift, you switch to lasers so that you get a little bit of power.
yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
Okay. Well, I don't know whether it's when you're drifting or not. That when you're shooting, I mean, that's not necessarily a given. When you're shooting, you shoot when you have the opportunity. Whether it's when you're drifting or when you're boosting is kind of meaningless. It's when you have the opportunity is when you're shooting. I like the idea of opportunistic shooting. You shoot when you can. You don't shoot
Oh, yeah, for
stupidly.
sure.
You don't waste energy if you have better uses of it. But if you have no better use of it, it's better to shoot than to have that energy being sitting there in your exploded craft. If you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Is everyone in?
I'm in.
I mean,
Okay.
yeah,
I'm
I mean,
gonna start. Now I'm gonna show some of the angles that I do from the on the MC75. Now keep in mind here that actually maybe since Jonathan's here, I'll ask him to do the TIE Fighter, TIE Defender angles because he's much more experienced with that than me.
Oh no, I well, I have to.
Okay, well, or I'll try them. But anyway, normally I do the bomber, so I'll show you the bomber angles that I
Can
do,
change the thing?
and
I think I
hopefully
can.
they work. Every time I show it to someone, I screw it up. In game, I never screw it up, but in when I show it and I'm talking, because it's a timing issue in this one a lot more than the other one, that you have to get your timing right, and if you don't time it right, you'll go past it, or you'll go in front of it. So it does require a little bit of concentration, but if you do it right, normally you're basically, once you're in place, you're good to go. Like, you cannot screw it up once you're in place. The question is getting yourself in place.
One recommendation for breaking into the shoes of the MC75 is important to change your power to engines because
Yes.
changing your power to engines will give you a better break.
Yeah, it'll be a less of a drift. Which is fine for me because in my bomber, you will find that I am always powered engines. I will never switch power out of engines if I'm in the bomber. Like
I'm doing
the
that.
entire game, I'm playing powered engines, 100%. Every game I play.
I use slam and power in weapons most of the time.
So I'm using either regular or jet engines on this, and either way, powered engines at all times. Okay, and then I get above, and then I get an angle, and then I can shoot if it doesn't go past me. Oops.
There's Pixel.
What? Oh yeah. Oh good, you didn't watch me? Good.
Yeah, I
Oh,
was
did I not
watching
have this
Jonas
set up
show
correctly?
too.
I don't think I set up the settings correctly. Oh, I might have used
Oh
the-
yeah, you're still in Republic, right?
Oh, am I in
settings,
Republic
maybe.
settings? Oh my goodness, this is not gonna end well. Yeah, don't go too close to the...
You should be farming because it would.
Yeah, I know it will be faster, but actually I need to just restart the game anyway because it's on the wrong settings. It'll take forever for me to take the cruisers out.
Okay.
Alright, sorry
Okay.
guys, I must have screwed up the settings somewhere. Going back to main menu. Gonna restart the game.
Me menu.
And now you can set me in Galaxy Empire, so
Mhm.
I can do that on the own.
Create custom match. Load settings. Imperial
Already in there,
practice
nice.
run.
I'm watching.
By the way,
the-
what I explained about the power management, you can do it
I'm
in
in
the
one.
Defender as well. Just a bit more carefully because obviously the power on the Defender is way less than the NX one.
Okay.
It does charge faster though.
Galactic Empire. Alright, I'm in now. Come on and join me, guys, and I'll show you the angles for MC75. Basic settings. Let's set it to SLS. Password. Okay, it's passworded now. Okay, Fabian and Jonathan, if you could join as spectators, or at least Fabian. Yeah.
You don't want me to do the defender run?
Oh, defender. Yeah, yeah. Go ahead. Okay. Okay. Well, actually, yeah, you'll do it on one shield gen, and I'll do the bomber run first on the other shield gen.
Sounds good.
And then I'll show, after I do that, I'm going to show power. So on my bomber, I'll take out one shield and one power, and then you could show how you do the,
Yeah, don't worry. I understand.
Yeah. All right, is everyone ready? Bucky
Yeah.
spectating.
Yeah, beside me.
We have one missing.
Okay, here we go.
Guess what? I hit customization.
Okay.
One is missing. I only see 3 spectators. Who's missing?
Well, they should be able to join mid match now.
It should
Yeah.
work, yeah. I'm on it.
Yeah, I'm joining the spectate in just a second.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna just show real quick some cruiser attacks. So don't attack the cruisers, Jonathan.
Ah, I love the Empire music.
Yeah.
Long live the Empire.
Okay. Actually, I don't need weapon power.
Why? What? Something's broke me in this spectate thing right now.
Can you look at the pilots?
Nope.
Are you guys able to
Something not
spectate us or
working.
no?
No.
Yeah, I am.
We cannot
I
watch
am.
pilots for some reason.
Yeah, I can also only have this perspective of the MC75.
Page down.
Oh.
Hit page down. Hold on.
I'm hitting it at the moment.
No, doesn't work.
Some reason it's blocking it.
Yep, only MC75 perspective is working at the moment.
I'm okay.
Get out and in again. Just get out and try
Okay.
to-
Well, I'll have it recorded either way. So maybe you could just watch that part of the video. But
Try something.
so I come in from the sides. I come in from the sides on the Nebulons. So unlike the other one where I come in from above, I try and come in from the sides on this if I'm not doing a bombing run. And from here I can just, I'll dumbfire Goliath, and then boom, it's gone. And that's how it works. And then again from this side, I'll come in from the side, and then I'll boost past it, drift, and then look at it. And now here I do the run on the MC75, and if actually after this game I'll do it again, and that way. Oh, there's. Let's see if you can spectate it now.
Yeah,
Is it working?
I'm still in loading screen.
Okay.
Let's see.
I think the main issue is that it, at least for
Oh.
me, put us on Republic side,
Yeah,
and it
And-
doesn't let switch. Which button would it be? Usually it's just left and right, but it doesn't.
Yeah, I'm fine.
I mean, it's-
Weird.
Okay. Do you see me, Bucky? Are you following me?
Yeah, yeah.
All right, so
yeah,
I come
totally.
in. Okay, I'm trying to come in on the shield gens. So I come in, I boost,
Yeah.
drift,
you're out.
boost, shunt power to the boost, make sure I have enough boost to get in. Then I start my drift, and I go 0 throttle. Now here I am in front of the shields, and I'll shoot at them with my rotary, my beam, and dumbfire Goliath, and then boom, it's down. And now I turn
Wow.
downwards, and now boom, I'm looking at well, if I don't screw that up, normally I don't.
Yeah.
Wow, that is the worst flying I've ever done. I have a shot at power from here, and now I'll look down at power and do the same thing, shunt to weapons, and then boom, power's out. And then if I'm still alive, boost away, and then I'll start doing my rotations. And on this one, and I'll switch over to Jonathan in a second, I like staying above the ship as much as possible. I do boosts around this way. Instead, I try and stay on the top, because if I go below and I'm anywhere near the ship, it's going to tractor beam me. So I actually usually either, if I go below, I do it all the way back here, in the way back. But I usually like staying above. If there's some weak spots, I'll look from about back here in the back quarter, and I'll look from the back quarter if there are any weak spots, but I will not go anywhere near over there below the ship, otherwise I'm going to get tractored. So, yeah, and then I'll just basically, I can either go, basically there's two routes. Either I go orbiting around this back part of the MC-75, or I will orbit around over here around the targeting system fin. And I'll just orbit around the targeting system fin. And then I get some angles. And I'll do the same thing I do on the other ship. I'll boost away, and then I have a perpendicular view at all the weak spots, and then I can shoot at a weak spot here, and a weak spot there, and I've got beautiful angles. And if I start losing my angle, then I boost back out, and then I come back in and make sure I've got a good perpendicular view. And now here I am, perpendicular view, I can see everything, and I see that that's the spot that needs shooting, and I can shoot it. And that's basically how it goes. And mind you, I kind of screwed up that run on the shields, but the idea is you drift in, and maybe I executed the drift a little late, and you basically, as you're drifting, you turn towards the shields. So here I'm boosting in, and you don't get tractored if you're coming in from this height. If you go a little lower, you will be, but there, and then boom, and I just I'll unload on this, shunt to the weapons, unload, and then use my beam weapon, and double tap a Goliath, and that thing will go down. And then once you're done, you can turn and then look, and then see, even if the shields are still up, notice I have a view down here with no shields, and that way I can get both. If I have a good run, I can get one shield and one power, easy.
When you attack the frigate, and would you, rather than wait for the lock on with your Goliath?
No, I dumbfire. I'm 9 out of 10 times I'm dumbfiring. 9 out of 10 times dumbfired. Okay. Yep.
Because that can be really frustrating sometimes. It doesn't.
I don't bother with lock-ons on cruisers. For my Goliath, 9 out of 10 times, maybe even more, I will just dumbfire it. But you have to be careful when you're drifting. You have to be careful about your momentum, which way you're going. And basically, I just aim at a spot that looks like it has a bunch of turrets, which is usually an easier thing to do if I'm perpendicular to it. And I aim at it, whether it be the front or the back. So if I just shot that side of the front, I will look to the back portion of the Nebulon, and vice versa. And I will just make sure I have a good momentum, line up with it, double tap, it's gone. And I don't bother. I don't even think about whether it's locked on or even if it's locked on. Sometimes I'll frickin' double tap it anyway. I don't care.
Yeah. No, that's good to know. That's good to know. Yeah.
The shields are.
All right. Sorry. Go ahead. Let's watch Jonathan, and he's gonna show his attack run on the shields from the TIE Defender.
Yeah. So first thing you want to understand is how you break, because breaking is the most important part on the shields. Because it's hard. It's hard because when you're going in drifting or doing something fast. So when you break, it takes a while to actually break. Why? Because since normally your acceleration is really low, the acceleration works the same in both ways. It takes longer to accelerate up, and it takes longer to accelerate down. So one thing you want to do, I think, I guess what we're going to explain, is that you want to drift, and when you want to brake, you have your drift button, you let go your drift button, and then turn your throttle to 100, or maybe half, whatever. So you drift with the throttle to 0 or anything, and you convert your throttle to 100 and then come back to 0. Because that moment when you have to throttle to 100, your acceleration goes up, and it gives you the ability to brake faster. And then you come back to 0 so you can brake. It's a bit difficult. It's not easy. It's something that it takes a bit of practice and time. And the other thing you want to see is when you know, because one thing you want to do is not worrying about many things. So maybe you know how to boost cast, so if you get new to MT70 boost casting, but let's say you don't want to boost cast because you are concentrating on getting the shield. So maybe you know that at this at 200, 2000 meters units, you are able to just boost it into it. So you just boost it. And then break. You can do a little bump. I did it really wrong there, by the way. Okay, the run. One thing you want to do when doing the run on the defender is that you want to go from the you don't want to go you don't want to go from the upper side, mostly because the lineup is really difficult. It gets really annoying. So what you want to do is mostly this approach that I'm going to do right now, which is coming from this part. You can go up so you can be evasive, but try to get down again. And when you get this kind of lineup, you can go into it. You shoot, you bomb, you start doing some orbiting.
So what, Jonathan, what is it that makes you able to bounce without taking hull damage?
Mostly the braking. Approaching in such a low speed, it actually makes you able to mitigate most of the damage.
Okay, so the key is that you have to be basically, once you get there, you're going slow.
Yeah, you have to brake as soon as possible.
And then
braking, as I said, it's the hardest part.
And then basically you're double dumping your, once you get under the shield, right at that point, you're double dumping your missiles and shooting about 2 or 3 bursts.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
That's what I do. Usually it will take like 3 runs, maybe 4, depending on how much damage you're doing every run.
Right.
So yeah, basically you want this approach, like this angle to the shield. Sometimes you can actually go lower and come from just below and do this, and then this.
And what's the story with tractor beam? How are you dealing with getting tractored and how to get out of that? And what's your thoughts on that?
One thing to avoid the tractor beam is going up. That's the first thing is try to do this.
From there you can go above, just like with the Star Destroyer. Once you get above the azimuth, the horizon, you're fine.
The thing is that the MC-70 Spy is a bit weird on the beam, because you see I'm upper in the upper side right now, and I got tractor beam either way.
Right.
And that's why you want to have your throttle to 0 all the time, because having your throttle to 0 gives you the opportunity that even if you're tractor by the beam, you can just escape by boost gasping or even boost skipping. I don't know if you know, guys, but you can get out of the tractor beam if you have a sudden change of speed. If you are in zeros, if you are not moving and start boosting away, you will get out of the tractor beam. Basically, if you boost gas, you will be moving even with the tractor beam. Look at this. Give me a second. Okay, tractor beaming. You can still move a bit slower, but you will be able to move. You see?
Yeah.
It's a fair amount of boosts that you can do in the Defender that you wouldn't be able to get away with in many other ships, but
the Defender gives you that opportunity. That's why the Defender is such
yeah, so this
the only problem
in general, to execute this maneuver is not easy to do.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. It's a high risk because if you mess it up, you will bump and you will get a lot of damage, like something like this. That would.
Oh, you know what? Also, sorry. You know what else is happening? You have increased. I think you have decreased collision damage set right now.
Oh yeah, I noticed. I noticed.
I was like, wow,
Um,
you really are taking no damage. No, so you would take very little, but right now you're taking even less because we turned off collision for things. But yeah.
So remember, if you want to brake, it's something strange that you have to do. It's annoying to do. That you drift, let go the drift, push, throttle to 100, and then throttle to 0, and you'll brake faster.
Yeah.
It's something that you have to try. Like in a QSM game, you will be able to watch, because remember something, that 90, that number there is your speed. It's not the level of throttle. So that will change depending on your situation. You see that when I boost, it goes to 200 and something, and I can go to 100 throttle, and you see it goes down to 60 and then goes up to 90, because it will break faster, and at the same time you want to, like, in the moment it goes to 60, you want to get your throttle to 0 to come back to 0. So throttle to 100, let go the thing. That was horrible. um, to 0, 100, then 0. You see how you break way faster. It's hard to mess it up because it's not easy. And this is something you have to understand. This is applicable to every ship, because every ship works similarly.
So the idea here, I think there's a quite a different meta that my bomber run and I think the bomber runs and the TIE Defender, maybe TIE Fighter run has, which is that when you come in from the side on the MC-75 like that, you are going to get yourself tractored. And that's what a lot of people find is like, but I'm getting tractored right outside the shield. And you have to be very careful about that, especially that's why you don't want to do that in the in the bomber. If you come in from more narrow, like Jonathan's coming in now, which is basically how I come in on the shield gens in the bomber, you're not going to, well, he came in from a little too low there, but you won't get tractored. Whereas if you come in from the angle that he's coming in on the Defender, you will get tractored often. And you can counter and deal with that given how you're attacking with the Defender and how you can get out of it with the Defender. But you don't want to be doing that in the bomber because you will not get out of it very easily, and you're most likely just going to ruin your run. So that's the key to understand. As far as the totally different metas, basically, that they're running.
By the way, you are able to do the same thing about the run of the bomber.
Right, so you could use the bomber run you can use that bomber run or a variant of the flyby bomber run, I guess I'd say, in the Defender, but you do not want to be using that run that Jonathan's talking about in the bomber. You will get jack all nothing basically out of it.
Yeah.
Let me explain something fast about the force management that I talked earlier, which is basically, let's say you right now are. Let me give me a second. Okay. You have energy on the engines. So when you move, you want to get your energy completely to, let's say, weapons, and just boost it. Be basic. When you shoot, you convert your power to engine target, and then move away with your powers and engines. This is a very basic way to be more efficient with your power management, and you get more damage.
Yeah, indeed. And notice how Jonathan, when he's boosting and drifting, he's trying to... Wait, what just happened? Oh, hello? Oh, because I was idle. I got idled out. Notice how when Jonathan's doing it, he's trying to keep his eye on the ship as much as is possible to give himself the most on target time as possible. And that's the goal in general. Sometimes for me, I'm not, but that's because in the bomber Y-wing, I'm just trying to get out to an angle, to a side, in which I can get a good shot at things. Because drifting is not as easy there. But in the X-Wing and the Defender TIE Fighter, that sort of more side-swipey orbiting is exactly what you want to be doing, because the burst lasers just need to be on target, and you just keep shooting and shooting and shooting, and it'll dwindle things down.
I feel quite sick.
Do you have any question about what you're seeing right now?
It's fun to see from the outside.
Yeah.
Because I cannot watch the inside right now. Don't know why it doesn't let spectate
Yeah,
Empire
no
right
idea.
now.
But do you have any questions about this?
I'm I'm more bomber, so I wouldn't fly a defender. So no. But what?
Yeah, but
But what?
have in mind something that you have to have in mind is that everything you learn in the Defender is applicable in every other ship. That's why I encourage you might not be main Defender, right? But I
Yeah.
encourage people to actually try it, and learn to do it like in a very basic way because everything you do in a Defender is applicable in every other ship.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think what Pixel said though was right. It's good to see the different attack runs made by different ships. So what you're doing now in the Defender, you wouldn't do in a Y-wing or a TIE bomber as such.
Right.
Just like, yeah, because of being tractor beamed.
Yeah.
Whereas with Pixel with the bomber,
hmm
you'd come in side. You come in side on.
I come
Is
in
that right?
basically front. So let me do it one more time.
Yeah,
Let me just
so-
create another match, and I'll show you again which angle I'm coming in at on the bomber.
Oops.
Create custom match. Maybe then everyone can see it, and I'll just show that run one more time. Modifiers. Whoops. Load settings. Imperial
I love the
practice
Defender,
run.
but I'm not that good yet.
Basic settings, fleet battles. Password pokey. So yeah, so I try to come in from the front, and the reason I do that is because so I'm the host. The game is about to be hosted. Is because if I come in from that angle, the tractor beam can't see me. And if I come in from high enough, now mind you, if I was a little lower, as I think Jonathan did one time, the tractor beam can see you. And the issue is the curvature of the MC-75. Unlike the Star Destroyer, where it's very obvious where the tractor beam can see you and not, which is that if you're above, it cannot. If you're below, then maybe it can, if you're in front of the hangar or near the hangar and a little bit on the side. The tractor beam can see that. But on the MC-75, the tractor beam also, again, is right by the hangar, as it should be. But there's a curvature to the MC-75's body. And what ends up happening is the tractor beam has to have direct line of sight to you. And if you are at the right part of the curvature of the MC-75 and close enough, skimming close enough to the MC-75, the direct line of sight from the tractor beam is blocked out in the same way that if I tried to have a direct line of sight to something, 7,000-8,000 miles away, I wouldn't be able to because I would have to be going through the earth because of the curvature. And it's the same exact thing here that if you skim the surface, which you can only do from the front, because if you're coming in from the side, you're not skimming the surface. The only other way you could come in is from the back, but normally you're in the front. So that the back run, I guess, would be if you had already made a run, like Jonathan had a clutch double shield run in a 3PO match, where after he made the run on the first gen, he then, instead of going to power, either because power was out or I don't know exactly why, but he instead went around the back of the MC-75 and then came in from the back and made basically the same exact shield run with the bomber, but from the back instead, which is totally viable. I usually find that it's a lot easier to just go for power because you're already there. All you basically have to do is angle your ship down. You're already at power, and then boom, you could start chugging at that. And it doesn't give the other team an opportunity to finally kill you. And normally what I find is that if I've already killed a shield gen, probably someone's about to kill me. Either the lasers are going to or someone is. So I might as well just get as many shots as I can off on the power. Even if I don't kill it, if I get it down to 80, 60, whatever I can do is better than nothing. And that's usually what I'm looking at. Here, I'm going to make one more run.
I'm gonna actually
in
show
right now.
that you just mentioned. This would be. Let me have a clip of it.
Do you
I'll
want?
clip it and show it. The double run.
Oh, the double run. You have that saved?
No, Bird has it.
Oh,
I
okay.
have I have one general question.
Yep.
If I fly the bomber or maybe a fighter and attack a shield, let's say a shield generator, and I took the shield generator down and my life is around 30 or 40, I'm able to escape from the mothership and make a resupply somewhere in our base. Is it better to do that or do more damage to?
I find that more often than not, you will not survive that. If you're down to 40, almost definitely you're not getting out. You're there. You're there for the count. There's two reasons I wouldn't do that. One is that I would say over 50% of the time, maybe much over 50%, you will not make it. You will not be able to get out with 40 if you're already like right next to the flagship. And the second is that in the time that it takes you to go back, get resupplied, and come back, it's possible the phase has ended. So on balance, it's better to not die and to get resupplied. And maybe if there's a support nearby, you could say, hey, can I get resupplied? But I would wager that almost every time I've seen someone back out of a flagship and go back, if they had already fully committed, you're in it. If you're right next to a shield gen, you're fully committed. You need to just do as much as you can while you're there. Don't die as much as you can, but you can't. You're not going to get out because you're gonna die and do no damage while you're trying to run.
Yeah.
Especially in the bomber. I mean, if you're in the interceptor, if you're in a really fast, hit and run ship, then I mean, a TIE fighter theoretically, could maybe get out. A bomber, no, is not getting out.
Yeah.
And
the defender has a particularity which you don't have much hold, so it's good to go away, charge your shield, and then come back.
Yeah.
In the defender case, because the defender is basically all shields.
Yeah. In the defender case, you can do it because you're just shield recharging. You're not going all the way back for resupply. But yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, Jonathan, can you
Yeah,
switch
thanks.
to... Oh, actually, I have to switch you. Never mind. All right, so we're going to do one more run. I'll try and show it, and then Jonathan will share at some point a clip he has from when he did a double shield run, meaning he after he took one shield, he actually went around the back of the ship and then took out a second shield. But I'm going to show this one more time and hopefully not botch it.
Don't hawk it.
Yeah. Can you ready up, Jonathan?
Yeah, so
Just hit ready 100 times and the other player will hit it.
And hopefully this time everyone can spectate too, because we had some spectation issues last game.
We got to join again, or is it going to start? Because I'm not seeing anyone's names.
I'm in game right now. It's being
Yeah,
it's
right.
hosting right
Okay.
now.
Right. Okay. I'll rejoin.
Okay.
I'm looking at the clip, and I actually didn't do the background. I did a something.
A little
I
more.
did a last resort. It is not. I basically improvised.
Okay. Yeah.
Again,
It-
on
it was-
level fights
Yeah.
only, some reason.
It was a really sweaty situation since the flip it was going in. I was pretty much just getting.
Oh, you know what the
everything I
issue
could.
might be is because there's two Empire.
Well,
Maybe?
I guess.
I don't know.
Yeah, it doesn't allow us spectating the other side. Maybe
Yeah.
because it's two empires. Let me check if
Let me
there's
get out. Let me get out.
option or something maybe you can set.
No, I have to check it off.
Privacy level, public random game mode settings, no. Turn off the match side restrictions, no. Modifiers.
Is everyone else able to see what's going on?
I'm back in.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Loading up.
Yep.
Yeah, it's loading.
And I also can see like from the Nebulons, I just only can see this perspective of the
On the
MC.
Republic side.
Yeah, and only MC-75. I can't even switch to frigates.
I don't know what that issue is.
Tell me when the rest of you are in. Is anyone in
Yeah,
right now?
I'm with you.
Okay, so I come in and I'm looking at the side. I'm gonna shunt to weapons, and then I got some shots. Gonna dumbfire Goliath right there. Boom. And then I got one Nebulon. Then I'm going to go in, shunt to engines, get over to the other one. And then what I might do is, oh, well, I don't want to shoot the front of the ship, so I'll dumbfire Goliath into the back here. And then boom, Goliath into the back. And then it's done.
That's so much better. That really is.
Yeah, it's to me, I mean, look, this is the way I fly. Speed, get ordnance out and get it done. That's basically my my mantra in bombing is do damage. Do damage now.
Yeah. No, I like the gunfire though. That works for me. That's yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot easier. You just got to be careful when you're drifting or something that you're not aiming it wrong. But yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So basically, again, I'll come from around here, center of the map. Unlike on the Star Destroyer where I come from the side, and I'll come in, and I will boost in. And if I don't have enough boost, I'll shunt to more boost so I can get in. And then I start drifting here, zero my throttle, and I'm in position. And then I will start my rotaries first. And when I'm in position and I'm zeroed, I will use my beam and dumbfire a Goliath, and then it's done. And then I'll go a little away, look for the power, and then here's power. And now I stop again right on top of the pod, and I'll try and do as much damage as I can, shunting to weapons as many times as I can. And then boom, I got power. And then if I'm still alive, I'll boost out, and I'll see what I can do from there. But that's the run.
Yeah.
And then again, I'll look, I'll try and have my eyes on things. See, I put myself, again, look perpendicular, find the weak spot, get perpendicular to it, and shoot it. So there's a weak spot, let's say down there. So I boost there, and then I'm now perpendicular to it, and I can shoot it with no questions asked. And otherwise, I've had too many times where I've looked at something like this one, like, oh, I'm going to shoot it, I could totally hit it, and I never frickin' hit it. And
that's exactly what I do.
Yeah, and so it's better to just boost away, it makes you evasive anyway, and now boom, now you're not going to miss it. You know? Looking at it straight on, you're not going to miss it. And that's basically it. And then you could do that same run that I said on the shield gen. You can come around in the back like this, and then you make your run, and then, let's see, and then I'll come in, zero my throttle. Oops, that's not it. Zero, wait, what? I lost my place. There, there's the grill. It's hard to see sometimes from the back. Okay.
Yeah.
And then you get it, and then boom, 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 shoot, and you get it. Anyway, so the other thing is oops, tractor beamed. The one other thing I'm gonna say about this is what was I gonna say? Oh, the other way you can come in on bombing is you come in well, from the same angle, not this angle, but from okay, well, that's gonna kill me. Let me actually show the other way to bomb real fast. Let me get myself killed, and then I'll show the other way to bomb real quick. You guys can't kill me. Oh wait, maybe maybe you will. All right, come on, guys. All right, let me zero my throttle so this will kill me. There we go. All right, then I'll show.
I was going to say, can you come in from the top?
No, almost always that will not work because of the curvature. You're going to find yourself getting confused every time. Coming in from the top, you have to lean down, which is an unnatural position for anyone to be flying, and you just won't. It won't work. And not only that, but if you're coming from above, eventually that means you're going to below, which means you'll put yourself in a position to be tractored. So you don't want to be coming from below or above. You want to be coming from straight on. So what I'm going to show you here is an alternate way to attack a shield gen, which is oh, did they just take out the shield gen? No. So the alternate way is to go in here with bombs, and I'm going to come in the same way I do with the other, except that when I'm here, I'm going to stay like this, zero my throttle, I shoot there, I dumbfire Goliath, and then I drop my bombs, and then boom, shield gen's out. And that's the other way to do it. This time it was with bombs. So I went in, I shot a few lasers in first, and then I boom, 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 drop bombs, and then get out. And that's another way that you can do it. And the benefit of that run, actually, is that you can get out usually a lot easier. But the problem with that run is I think I usually find that it's harder to execute and get all your bombs in at the right spot because you're not looking at the shield gen exactly, it's below you. But if you can come in and then stop right over the shield gen, you could drop your bombs right there. But for that to kill the shield gen, first you have to shoot 1 Goliath and about maybe a second's worth of rotary, and then 5 bombs, and that'll do it.
Right.
Point and shoot.
Point and shoot works every time.
I wasn't able to cut the clip, but you can I'll post the Twitch thing on the academy, and you will play it from. Oh, I'll just put give me a second. I'll put the link to the.
They can't kill me now. Targeting's out. Alright, so see, I want to shoot stuff. Nope, don't. Do a boost, turn around, and then look. I got a great angle, Goliath, and it's done for. Oh well, maybe not, but it took 2 turrets. And then there's a shot. Okay, that's a decent shot. I don't have to line up for that.
Right, I've lost it now.
Alright.
I'm on. Yeah.
Alright, well.
No, I just.
Oh, it's ended.
Yeah, I'm gonna stop the stream now, unless there's any final questions before I stop the stream.
That was cool.
But those are the
I have
possible
one.
bombing runs. Yeah, go ahead.
The colorblind settings don't work well, and sometimes the breaches aren't fully visible. What do you suggest?
Well, okay, so there's 2 options. One is that instead you can go for turrets and just do general damage to the ship and say, hey, free weak spots to everyone else. I don't know where they are. I can't see them, but I'm going to try to do as much damage as possible killing turrets and just shooting at the hull. Now, there's 2 things I want to say about shooting at the hull. One is that it is always better to shoot turrets than to not shoot turrets. The other thing is it's better to shoot an undestroyed hull section than a destroyed hull section. You should shoot at the undestroyed hull sections, the ones that look good, and that will do more damage. As for the colorblind, I don't know how it looks, but I would say that there's 2 things that the weak spots are doing. One is that they have this glow, and I don't know what color it is in the colorblind section. But the other thing is they also have exhaust coming out of them. So if you notice that there's a place exhaust is coming out of, there's a good chance that there's a weak spot near there. And if this hull section is, if there's a weak spot there, the hull section is also undestroyed. So even if it's not where a weak spot is, you're probably shooting in an okay location. That's the best I can say about that, having not played with colorblind mode.
I have to check it out now. I'm curious.
Much appreciated, Professor Pixel.
Any other questions before I wrap up the stream? Okay.